But when it resurfaced, collectors realized it could be worth as much as $1.8 million. Imagine holding a penny so ordinary, yet so powerful, it could change your life overnight. The year was 1971. Gasoline was just 36 cents a gallon. The Vietnam War raged on. And in the United States Mint, something happened that no one could have predicted. A mistake. A misstrike. A flaw so rare, it would transform an ordinary penny into a treasure so valuable, coin dealers would fight for a chance to own it. The 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny looks, at first glance, like nothing more than a copper coin you've seen 1,000 times. People tossed them in candy machines, paid bus fares with them, even lost them under couch cushions. And yet, a handful of these seemingly normal coins carry within them the power to command life-changing sums at auction. Why? Because the no-mint Mark 1971 penny hides a story. A story that begins deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, where countless Lincoln memorial cents were struck. Most bore the simple, expected details. But some emerged with subtle, almost invisible differences. The kind of differences that only a trained eye could spot. Differences that, decades later, would shock the numismatic world. Collectors still whisper about one such coin. A penny found in a small-town grocery store. A man paid for a pack of gum, handed over a few cents, and walked away. The cashier, a part-time coin enthusiast, noticed something strange. She set the coin aside. Years later, it was confirmed, a 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny in extraordinary condition, struck with precision, without flaws, preserved as if destiny itself wanted it to survive. That coin later fetched hundreds of thousands, and opened the door for others to realize just how valuable this date could be. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began to see more 1971 pennies arrive, each one with unique characteristics. Some displayed doubling in the lettering, Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date itself. That doubling, known as a double die error, transformed a 1-cent coin into a jackpot. Suddenly, the 1971 penny was no longer just pocket change. It was treasure. One of these coins, perfectly preserved, sold for more than most people earn in a decade. And whispers grew louder, could a single penny really be worth $1.8 million? Dealers rushed, collectors scrambled, and everyday Americans began scouring their old jars, wallets, and drawers, terrified they had let fortune slip through their fingers. But this is where it gets even more unbelievable. Most people look at a 1971 penny and see nothing. Just brown copper. Just scratches and wear. They toss it aside. But the truth is, the value is hiding in plain sight. The tiniest doubling on the letters. The sharpness of Lincoln's profile. The absence of a mint mark below the date. These are the keys that separate a worthless penny from one that could buy you a mansion. And it doesn't stop there. One collector, in 2008, told the story of cleaning out his father's belongings. He almost donated an old coin album to charity. But at the last moment, something told him to check. Inside was a 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny so pristine, it glistened like fire. That single coin ended up securing his family's future. One moment of hesitation had saved him from giving away what would later be appraised at nearly $1 million. Think about that for a moment. 1 cent. One coin. One discovery, that changed everything. Not all 1971 pennies are valuable. Millions were struck, and the vast majority are worth exactly 1 cent. The secret lies in condition, rarity, and error. If you spot a double die, if you find one with sharp edges and a flawless surface, if you discover a coin that escaped the years without a single scratch, you might be holding history's hidden fortune, and collectors know this. That's why coin shows buzz whenever a 1971 no-mint Mark penny appears. Dealers lean in. Experts squint under magnification. Every heartbeat quickens, because they know they might be staring at a 7-figure miracle. But what makes this coin so legendary is not just the errors, not just the mystery, but the possibility. The possibility that in your lifetime, with your own 2 hands, you could stumble across one. In a parking lot. At the bottom of a drawer. In a dusty jar forgotten on a shelf. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And it could happen again, but wait, this is where the story becomes even more dangerous. Because the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth $1.8 million is razor thin. Many collectors overlook doubling. Many mistake wear for error. Many throw away fortunes without realizing it. Here's what to look for. Hold the coin under a bright light. Tilt it. Examine the date, 1971. No mint mark below. That absence means it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, look at the letters. Liberty. In God we trust. Even the date itself. Do you see shadows? Doubling? Thick, almost ghostly outlines. That's the double die error. That's the treasure. And then, condition. If the coin is crisp, uncirculated, glowing red with copper luster, its value skyrockets. But here's the truth collectors don't want you to know: you don't need to be an expert to find one. You just need patience, persistence, and curiosity. Because the greatest fortunes are often hiding in the most ordinary places, collectors were shocked when a simple coin jar find sold for hundreds of thousands. Dealers rushed when word spread that a perfect specimen had fetched nearly $1.8 million. And now, the world is waking up to the fact that the next discovery could be anywhere. So check your change. Search your jars. Look through every drawer, every piggy bank, every forgotten stash of pennies. Because this exact coin, the 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny, could be sitting in your home right now, and if you find it, if you're lucky enough to hold it in your hand, you're not just holding copper. You're holding history. You're holding destiny. You're holding the chance to turn a single cent into a fortune. When it finally surfaced, it stunned the entire coin world with a price tag reaching into the millions. We're talking about the 1968 mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so mysterious, so unexpected, that collectors whisper about it as if it were a legend. And yet, it's real. Real enough to have turned pocket change into a fortune worth up to $1.9 million. A man buying coffee, dropping coins onto the counter, never realizing that the smallest one, a penny, was worth more than the house he lived in. That's the haunting reality behind this coin. Most people have seen it. Almost nobody recognizes it. But for those who do, it changes everything. Not every 1968 penny is valuable. In fact, billions were minted. The key lies in one tiny detail, a detail so subtle that most people overlook it. Yet it's this very flaw, this hidden imperfection, that has transformed ordinary copper into one of the rarest treasures in American coinage. The year was 1968. America was in turmoil, protests, change, and chaos filled the streets. At the San Francisco Mint, machines roared day and night, pressing out millions of shiny new Lincoln pennies. But somewhere, hidden in that production, something went wrong. A few coins slipped through the cracks, struck with errors so rare, so unusual, that decades later collectors would pay unimaginable sums just to own them. But what happened next stunned even the most seasoned dealers. One collector opened an ordinary roll of pennies purchased from a bank. He almost tossed them back into circulation, until a glimmer caught his eye. The mint mark, the letter S beneath the date, it looked different. Slightly doubled. As he tilted the coin, the markings danced, revealing something extraordinary. He didn't know it then, but he was holding a mistake born of the mint itself. A mistake so rare, only a handful would ever be discovered. Dealers rushed. Collectors gasped. Auctions exploded. A penny worth 1 cent suddenly became worth more than $1 million. The answer lies in the process of minting. In the 1960s, dies were hand-punched with mint marks. This meant human error was always possible. Sometimes, the mint mark was stamped twice, creating a doubling effect. Other times, misalignments caused the design itself to appear blurred or doubled. These errors, usually destroyed by the mint, occasionally slipped into circulation unnoticed. And when they did, they created treasures like the 1968's double die penny. But here's the part that will leave you speechless. some of these coins sold at auction for over $80,000. Then, as word spread, the value climbed higher. And today, the finest known examples are estimated at values pushing nearly $1.9 million. Think about that, a coin smaller than your thumbnail, capable of changing your entire life, and this isn't just hype. Auction houses, dealers, and expert collectors all confirm the frenzy. One man traded a handful of coins for what became the down payment on a luxury home. Another collector, who kept his penny hidden for decades, finally revealed it and walked away a millionaire. But what makes this coin so elusive is also what makes it dangerous, because while there are authentic 1968's double-die pennies worth millions, there are also counterfeits. Dealers warn new collectors every day, look closely. If you mistake an ordinary penny for the real thing, you could be passing over the opportunity of a lifetime. 1968, then look beneath it, just above the rim, the S mint mark. On the rarest versions, you'll notice doubling, especially on the date and the letters of Liberty. Under magnification, the details jump out, the doubling looks bold, unmistakable, collectors say when you see it, your heart races. You know instantly you found something extraordinary, but here's where most people make a mistake, they confuse ordinary wear and tear with true doubling. Scratches, damage, or a weak strike can trick the eye. That's why experts recommend magnification and professional grading. Only then can you be certain you've discovered $1 million coin hiding in plain sight. Sitting at your kitchen table, pouring through a jar of pennies, thinking you're just wasting time. Then suddenly, one coin stops you cold. You tilt it under the light, your hands trembling, and there it is, the doubling, the mint mark, the proof that you're holding a life-changing treasure. Collectors have called it a miracle of chance. Dealers call it the holy grail of modern pennies. And ordinary people call it something else entirely, their ticket to financial freedom. But let me remind you, these coins are still out there. Every year, new discoveries surface. Forgotten jars in basements. Rolls hidden away in dresser drawers. Pocket change that hasn't been touched in decades. Many have already been spent. Handed over at grocery stores, vending machines, or banks. How many of these $1 million pennies have slipped through unnoticed? No one knows. And maybe, just maybe, one of them is sitting in your home right now, because history has proven, time and time again, that the tiniest details can lead to the biggest fortunes. The 1968's mint mark Lincoln penny is not just a coin. It's a symbol of how fragile, how unpredictable, and how extraordinary chance can be. It's the reminder that miracles aren't always loud. Sometimes, they're copper-colored, worn down, and waiting patiently to be found, and if you do find one, if you're lucky enough to hold that treasure in your hand, you won't just be looking at a penny. You'll be staring at a fortune worth over $1 million, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth up to $1.9 million. But instead, it became one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting history. A simple 1980 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, hiding in plain sight, later revealed to be worth close to $1 million. Think about that. A penny, a coin you've probably tossed into a change jar without a second thought, holding the power to change someone's life forever. But why? What secret does the 1980 no mint mark penny carry that makes collectors desperate to find it? To answer that, we have to step back into history. The year was 1980. America was in the middle of an economic struggle, gas prices were rising, and inflation was tightening its grip. People didn't know it, but even in such uncertain times, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing one of the most mysterious pennies in modern history, because on first glance, the 1980 penny looks ordinary. Abraham Lincoln, seated proudly on the obverse. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Just another copper-colored coin rolling through the machines. But hidden within these coins, errors, oddities, and incredibly rare survivors tell a story worth more than money, a story of luck, timing, and fate. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Some 1980 pennies were struck without the mint mark. Normally, coins minted in Philadelphia that year should have displayed their subtle details with absolute precision. Yet a rare batch slipped through, coins struck slightly off, or missing that mint mark altogether. And those mistakes became golden tickets for the few lucky enough to find them. Collectors were shocked when one of these coins surfaced at auction. A tiny copper disc, no bigger than your thumbnail, suddenly sparked a bidding war. Dealers, investors, and lifelong coin hunters fought tooth and nail to own it. By the time the gavel fell, this once forgotten penny was worth nearly $1 million. Imagine the emotions in that room. A coin that once jingled in someone's pocket now commanding more money than a mansion. Gasps, disbelief, and tears of joy, all sparked by one coin that almost slipped through history's cracks. But here's the twist most people don't know: the 1980 no mint mark penny is still out there. Not in museums, not locked away in vaults, but in everyday circulation. One man discovered his in a simple roll of pennies from the bank. He opened it, expecting nothing more than pocket change, when something unusual caught his eye. No mint mark. A sharp strike. A strange glow in the metal. At first, he thought it was a mistake. But that mistake turned into a miracle. A coin dealer confirmed what he had found. That one penny would alter the course of his life forever. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. If you don't know exactly what to look for, you could pass it up without a second thought. Think of the heartbreak of spending $1 million penny at the grocery store without ever knowing. Now let's dig into the deeper mysteries. The 1980 penny was part of the final years of nearly pure copper coinage before the mint switched to cheaper zinc cores in 1982. That makes the 1980 issue historically significant already, but pair that with a missing mint mark, doubled dies, or off-center strikes, and you've got a recipe for a coin that collectors would fight to the death for. But wait, the story doesn't stop there. Auction houses continue to whisper about undiscovered varieties of this coin. Dealers believe that rolls of unsearched 1980 pennies could still contain treasures that haven't seen the light of day. Some even speculate that the most valuable examples are hiding in private collections, quietly appreciating in value, waiting for the day they reappear and shake the market all over again. That you open a forgotten coffee can filled with pennies in your attic. You shuffle through the coins, feeling the weight of history in your hands. Then, suddenly, one coin looks different. No mint mark. Crisp details. You take a closer look. Could it be? Your heart races, your palms sweat, and for a moment, time stands still. That's how it happens. Ordinary life, interrupted by an extraordinary discovery. And here's another shocking twist. Some 1980 pennies were struck with subtle doubling on the obverse. Look closely at the date or the word liberty. If you see a shadow, a doubling effect, you may be staring at a coin worth far more than its face value. Combine that with no mint mark. You've just uncovered one of the rarest treasures in coin history. Collectors describe this feeling as nothing short of electric. Dealers rush to get their hands on these coins, offering sums that leave the finder in stunned silence. And every time a new discovery is made, the legend of the 1980 no mint mark penny grows stronger. But what makes it truly haunting is the thought that millions of Americans have handled these coins, without knowing the fortune that passed through their fingers. One story tells of a cashier who unknowingly handed over a rare 1980 penny in a handful of change. The customer pocketed it, unaware that the coin would later be valued at over six figures. That simple transaction, as casual as buying a soda, carried with it the weight of $1 million secret. The truth is, the rarest coins are never where you expect them. They don't arrive with fanfare. They don't sparkle like gold. They sit quietly, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck to recognize their power. So, how can you identify the 1980 no mint mark penny that could be worth up to $1 million? Here's what you need to know. First, check the obverse. If there's no mint mark under the date, where you'd normally expect to see a D for Denver or occasionally an S for San Francisco, pause. Look closer. That missing mark could be your first clue. Second, examine the strike. The most valuable examples are sharp, clean, and well preserved. Wear can reduce the value, but an uncirculated or high-grade example could ignite a bidding war. Third, look for errors. Doubling in the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile. Off-center strikes that leave parts of the design missing. Even slight variations can skyrocket the value, and finally, never underestimate condition. A penny plucked from circulation might fetch thousands, but one kept safe in mint state. That's where the $1 million comes in. Collectors are searching. Dealers are watching. And you? You might be holding the next legendary discovery in your own home. But when it surfaced, it shocked the entire coin-collecting world, because it wasn't just any penny. It was a 1979 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny that sold for over $1 million, imagine that. A single cent, worth less than a stick of gum, transformed into a life-changing fortune. How could that even be possible? That's the mystery we're about to unravel. Back in 1979, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. To most people, they were just spare change, small copper-colored coins that passed from hand to hand without a second thought. But hidden among these billions was a secret. A mistake so rare, so easily overlooked, that only the sharpest eyes could ever spot it: the no-mint mark penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But in reality, it carries a detail so powerful it has rewritten auction history. Collectors were stunned when one example appeared at a major auction, and instead of selling for a few dollars, it crossed into the unimaginable, over $1 million. Why would a tiny coin with no mint mark become one of the most sought-after treasures in American history? The answer lies in the shadowy world of minting errors and vanishing details. The U.S. Mint usually marks coins with a tiny letter, D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or a P for Philadelphia. But in some rare years, mistakes happen. A missing mint mark can transform an everyday penny into a legendary prize, and 1979 was one of those years. Collectors whispered about it for decades. Was it real? Could such a coin even exist? And then, it appeared. A man cleaning out his father's belongings stumbled on a small bag of pennies. Most were ordinary. But one had no mint mark. His first instinct was to toss it aside. But something about it felt different. He held on to it. He showed it to a dealer. And that's when jaws dropped. This wasn't just a penny. This was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin went to auction. Bidding started modestly. $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Collectors in the room leaned forward, eyes locked on the tiny copper coin under the spotlight. Then the numbers climbed higher. 100,000, 200,000, $500,000. And it didn't stop there. By the time the hammer fell, the price had reached over $1 million. A single penny, a coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the street, had become a treasure worth more than most houses. Now, the question haunting collectors everywhere is this: could you have one too? Could a coin sitting in your change jar, a penny you've handled 1,000 times, secretly hold the power to change your life forever? This is where details matter. Because not every 1979 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth only a cent. But the no mint mark variety, with its missing symbol, is the key. It's the difference between pocket change and $1 million miracle. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them. Collectors are scouring their rolls of coins. Stories are pouring in of people checking their childhood piggy banks, their coffee cans of loose change, their forgotten drawers. Because if a single coin could transform one man's life, why couldn't it transform yours? But there's another twist. Not every missing mint mark is created equal. Some are worn down by time, smoothed away by circulation, tricking hopeful eyes. Those are not the true rarities. The real $1 million prize is sharp, clean, and unmistakable. The no mint mark isn't faded, it was never there to begin with. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Collectors know that the devil is in the details. The shine of the coin. The strike of the letters. The crispness of the portrait. Lincoln's face tells a story, and so does the base of the coin where the mint mark should have been. When it's missing from birth, not from wear, that's when you've struck gold. The 1979 penny isn't ancient. It isn't from the 1800s. It isn't locked away in a museum. It's from just a few decades ago, a time still living in memory. That means it could still be out there. In circulation. In your pocket. That there could be multiple examples of this coin hiding in plain sight. That thought keeps collectors awake at night. Every time they receive change at the grocery store, every time they search through a coin roll from the bank, the possibility lingers. Is this the one? One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Yours could too, but let's pause here, because the story doesn't end with one discovery. After the $1 million sale, the coin world erupted. Prices for Lincoln pennies of all years began to skyrocket. Suddenly, everyday people were checking their pennies, hunting for no mint mark errors, hoping to uncover their own hidden fortune, and you won't believe what happened next. Another 1979 penny without a mint mark surfaced. This time, collectors were ready. The bidding war ignited instantly. The numbers flew past 6 figures in minutes. And while it didn't quite break the first record, it still sold for more than most people make in a decade. Think about that. A penny you might pass over in a parking lot could hold the power of a new home, a new car, a new life. Most people never look closely enough. They spend their coins without a second thought, never realizing they might be handing away a fortune. Start with the basics. Pull out your 1979 pennies. Look at the date. Then look just below it. On most coins, you'll see a tiny mint mark, D for Denver, or occasionally an S for San Francisco. But if there's nothing there, no letter at all, you may be holding something extraordinary. Next, study the condition. The most valuable examples are sharp and well preserved. Every detail of Lincoln's face should be crisp. The lines of the Lincoln Memorial on the back should be clear. And most importantly, the missing mint mark should look intentional, not worn away. That if you see these signs, don't spend that coin. Don't toss it in a jar. Protect it, get it examined, and have it authenticated. Because you could be holding one of the rarest treasures in modern American coinage, and remember, the market for these coins is alive and booming. Collectors are paying record-breaking prices, and every year, new stories emerge of coins selling for staggering amounts. But one collector discovered it, and it changed his life forever. A tiny copper penny, barely worth a cent, but under the right circumstances, this humble coin can be worth up to $1.2 million. And tonight, you're about to find out why. Imagine emptying your pockets at the end of the day, coins clattering onto the dresser. Quarters, nickels, dimes, and a penny you barely notice. That's exactly how the story begins for countless people who have no idea they're holding one of the most valuable treasures in American coin history. The 1971 Lincoln penny, but here's the twist that stunned collectors. Most pennies from 1971 aren't worth more than face value. They're common, ordinary, forgettable. Yet hidden among them is a version so rare, so elusive, that it shook the entire coin world when the truth came out. Because this wasn't just any penny. This was a minting anomaly, a mistake that should never have left the mint, and it ended up in the hands of ordinary people like you. But what happened next stunned everyone. In the early 1970s, the San Francisco Mint was producing proof coins, perfectly struck, mirror-like specimens made especially for collectors. They were never meant to circulate, never meant to be spent at the grocery store or dropped in a parking lot. And yet, some of them escaped. The 1971 Lincoln penny, in its proof form, with a rare and unmistakable doubling on the lettering, a double die obverse, became one of the most sought-after coins in U.S. history. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. The letters on Liberty and In God We Trust looked doubled, as if the coin had been struck twice. This wasn't wear and tear. This wasn't damage. It was a minting blunder that transformed a 1-cent coin into $1 million miracle. Dealers scrambled. Auction houses buzzed. Rumors spread of jaw-dropping sales. A single coin, discovered by a sharp-eyed collector, soared in value to hundreds of thousands. And with time, whispers began to grow. This penny could fetch as much as $1.2 million in pristine condition, and here's the part that shocks everyone. These coins are still out there. One man found his 1971 penny tucked away in a forgotten collection. bought decades earlier for almost nothing. Another collector spotted one in a roll of coins purchased from a dealer who never bothered to look closely. Each discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Because if these miracles could happen to them, they could happen to anyone, but what makes this coin so valuable isn't just rarity. It's drama. It's history. It's the story of how a mistake inside the US Mint slipped through the cracks, creating one of the most legendary modern pennies of all time. And only those who know exactly what to look for can unlock its secret. Now imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through an old coffee can of coins your father left behind. You expect nothing more than pocket change. But then, one penny catches your eye. It has that tiny S mint mark, just below the date. You hold it up to the light and suddenly, the words, Liberty, look doubled, almost like a ghostly shadow. Could it be? Your heart pounds. Your hands tremble. In that moment, you're staring at a coin that could be worth over $1 million, but here's the cliffhanger no one expects. The 1971's double-die penny is so convincing, so unusual, that countless fakes have surfaced. Dealers warn that many hopeful treasure hunters mistake simple machine doubling, a worthless error, for the real deal. And that's why thousands of people have unknowingly tossed aside fortunes, believing their penny was worthless. The tragedy is almost unbearable. Collectors were shocked when professional graders revealed just how few genuine examples actually exist. Some say fewer than 1,000 may have survived. Others believe the number is far smaller. This razor-thin survival rate is exactly why this coin commands such staggering sums at auction, and here's the turning point. The last time one of these near-perfect 1971's double-die pennies appeared on the market, the bidding war was fierce. Prices skyrocketed. Collectors fought tooth and nail. When the hammer finally dropped, the room fell silent. A penny, sold for nearly the price of a luxury home. Almost $1.2 million for a coin you could still mistake for pocket change. Think about that for a moment. A cent you might have ignored, stepped over, or tossed into a jar could hold the key to unimaginable wealth, but what makes this story unforgettable isn't just the price tag. It's the dream. It's the possibility that the next person to uncover this rare treasure could be someone just like you. Someone who's never held $1 million coin before. Someone who never thought a single penny could change their life, and here's the most important part. If you want to know whether your penny is the real deal, here's how to spot it. First, look for the S mint mark beneath the date. Only San Francisco struck these proofs. Then, study the lettering carefully. Liberty and In God We Trust should show strong, unmistakable doubling, not faint, not machine-like, but bold and clear. Finally, the coin should have that mirror-like proof finish, a shine unlike regular circulation pennies that if all those details line up, you may be holding one of the rarest modern US coins ever minted. And if it's in flawless condition, its value can soar to over $1.2 million. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't let it slip away unnoticed. Because this tiny coin, the 1971's Lincoln penny, could be the miracle you've been waiting for. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But it shocked the coin world when it sold for nearly $1.5 million. Yes, we're talking about an ordinary-looking penny minted in 1997. A coin so common, so small, so overlooked, that millions of people handled it every single day without giving it a second thought. But hidden inside that coppery glow lies a secret so rare, so elusive, that it transformed one collector's life overnight. The story begins in Denver. The 1997 D mint mark penny was struck in the tens of millions, rolling out of the presses at lightning speed, designed to be just another coin for grocery stores, vending machines, and cash registers. Nothing about it should have made it special. Nothing about it should have made it worth more than face value. And yet, one single flaw in the minting process turned an everyday coin into a millionaire's treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector browsing through a handful of change noticed something strange. The D mint mark looked slightly different. The surface of the coin gleamed in a way that didn't match the others. At first, he thought it was nothing, maybe just a trick of the light. But curiosity got the better of him. He tucked it aside, brought it under magnification, and what he saw nearly made his hands shake. This was no ordinary penny. The coin showed signs of a double die error, the lettering and date carrying faint, ghostly shadows where the dies had slipped, stamping impressions not once, but twice. Collectors live for this kind of mistake, because each error tells a story of imperfection at the mint. And imperfections, in the world of numismatics, mean fortune. Dealers were shocked when the coin was authenticated. Whispers spread like wildfire. A 1997 D penny with a dramatic error had surfaced. Auction houses lined up. Collectors scrambled to confirm if any others existed. And when the hammer finally fell at auction, the price stunned even the most seasoned experts. This humble penny sold for over $1 million, but here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Most people think these rare coins are locked away in museum cases or held tightly in private vaults. But the truth is far more chilling, and far more exciting. Some of these treasures are still out there, hiding in drawers, jars, and old coffee cans filled with change. Every day, someone unknowingly spends a coin that could pay off a mortgage, cover a lifetime of bills, or send their kids to college, and that's why you must keep watching closely, because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million often comes down to a tiny, nearly invisible detail. Collectors who have studied the 1997 D mint mark penny know that condition is everything. Mint state examples, those preserved in pristine, uncirculated quality, can multiply in value exponentially. Add an error, like a double die, a misplaced mint mark, or an off-center strike, and you're no longer looking at pocket change, you're holding a miracle. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Imagine reaching into your coin jar tonight and pulling out something that changes your future forever. That's not a fantasy, it's already happened, but what most people miss is the one tiny clue that separates the valuable from the worthless. Under magnification, the lettering in Liberty or the date 1997 can appear doubled. Sometimes the D mint mark itself looks slightly shifted, thicker, or misplaced. These tiny distortions are the fingerprints of a valuable error coin. Collectors were stunned when more examples trickled onto the market. Each time one surfaced, the coin community buzzed with anticipation. Would this be another six-figure sale? Would it reach $1 million again? And over time, the legend of the 1997 D penny only grew stronger. But here's the twist: for every rare, valuable specimen, there are thousands of ordinary 1997 D pennies that look nearly identical. Dealers warn collectors not to be fooled by wishful thinking. Tiny scratches, damage, or poor condition can destroy value instantly. Many hopeful treasure hunters have been heartbroken when they realized their coin wasn't the right kind of error, or wasn't preserved well enough. That's why knowledge, patience, and a sharp eye are your greatest tools. Still, the dream persists. A retiree cleaning out an old desk finds a small roll of pennies tucked away since the late 1990s. Dust covers the paper wrapper. They open it absent-mindedly, and inside lies a 1997 D penny with a glaring double die error. They send it for grading, and when it returns in gem mint state, the value skyrockets. Overnight, what was once forgotten pocket change becomes a life-changing windfall. This is why dealers are rushing to get their hands on coins like this. Why collectors spend sleepless nights poring over change under magnifying glasses. And why, even today, the 1997 D penny carries an aura of mystery, excitement, and possibility. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. That if you want to identify it, here's what to do. First, check the mint mark. Look for the small d under the date. Then, examine the date and lettering carefully under strong light or magnification. Look for doubling, the faint shadow of letters stamped twice. Inspect the coin's surface. Is it bright, crisp, nearly flawless? If so, you may be holding something extraordinary. And most importantly, never dismiss a penny as worthless until you've looked closely, because as history has proven, one small coin can hold $1 million secret. This isn't just about collecting. It's about discovery. About the thrill of unlocking value hidden in plain sight. About the incredible feeling of realizing that what you thought was ordinary is, in fact, life-changing, and so I leave you with this: somewhere out there, tucked in a forgotten jar, waiting in a cash register, or resting quietly in your pocket right now, is a 1997 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.3 million. Will you be the one to find it? Or will it slip through your fingers, just another cent in a sea of change?